where we've had fair judges, where we've had brilliant judges, frankly. I don't know the judge in Florida, Judge Cannon. Don't know her at all. But I think she's a brilliant woman. I think she handled a scam. It's a scam case. We won that trial, and the other side plays the ref.
ProPublica has some major new reporting about Judge Cannon. ProPublica has been on top of it regarding conflicts of interest with the Supreme Court, in particular Justice Thomas, and the money that he has received from Harlan Crow over the years. Well, they're now reporting about the fact that Judge Cannon attended ultra-conservative law school named after Justice Scalia. Their seminars were Federalist Society member Leonard Leo. Yes, you heard that right. Leonard Leo attended, and she failed to disclose this. This wasn't the first time that she failed to disclose this, but this was something she attended after receiving Trump's case. Now, I know you know, but just to recap, she dismissed the classified document case out in Mar-a-Lago on the first day of the RNC. Like, it's astounding that she actually went ahead and did it on that first day of the RNC, because she'd had that case for a long time. She'd had that motion to dismiss for a long time. She is strategic. She's strategic in how she delayed the case over and over. She delayed the case in unusual ways. She took motion hearings for things that usually federal judges don't hold hearings for. She took matters even when usually federal judges delegate them to magistrate judges in order to speed up the caseload, to speed up the docket, to speed up the case. But she didn't do that because Trump wanted to delay this case. He wanted to delay this case, for one, because he knew the Supreme Court was looking at the immunity issue, and that was something he was going to raise in this case. But he wanted to also delay the case until after the election so that if he won, he could dismiss it outright. And in that way, she was his strategic partner. She was also his partner in that she ruled in his favor in ways that brought her to be overturned twice already by the 11th Circuit. And we know that in front of the 11th Circuit is her dismissal is being appealed by Jack Smith. So she may be overturned 3 times because her dismissal was really outside the bounds of any typical law. We have had for decades the practice of attorney generals appointing special counsel. And this is how the attorney general's office has acted. This is how other circuits have practiced as if this was legal. Even the Supreme Court has practiced as if this is legal. The ProPublica report gives a little bit of background as to why Justice Clarence Thomas may have wrote that dicta in the immunity decision. His personal opinion, essentially, as to the fact that the Jack Smith appointment was unlawful. And Judge Cannon picked up on that and is why she dismissed the case, despite the fact that the Supreme Court didn't actually make that decision in the immunity case. So when you see the ProPublica report where she was, attending these seminars and requesting reimbursement and not disclosing it, despite the fact that the Leonard Leo and the Federalist Society was involved, you see how dangerous this all becomes because Justice Clarence Thomas is very friendly, not only with Harlan Crow, but also Leonard Leo. And Leonard Leo is considered by many to perhaps be one of the most powerful people because he has reshaped our judiciary with the money and the appointments of judges. So here is Justice Clarence Thomas, who is getting older. Some people have talked about the fact that if Trump is elected, he may actually step aside. And to what end does Judge Cannon decide to dismiss the case? She definitely quotes Justice Clarence Thomas, but many people talk about how Justice Clarence Thomas was writing a note to Judge Cannon. Well, I think she was writing a note back to Justice Thomas of, hey, if you decide to retire, I will be good in your place because I'm going to carry on the philosophies that you have. I'm willing to dismiss a case outright to a president, despite the fact that the law is settled, because you've said so. And then she's doing that, in public with these opinions. And then she's going to these seminars where, who does she rub shoulders with? But Leonard Leo, who is actually been in charge of appointing, it's because of his efforts that we have appointed these conservative judges to the court. So she's telling Justice Clarence Thomas, hey, don't worry, I'll have your back if you decide to retire. And who knows? To Leonard Leo's face, she could be saying the same thing. She's certainly, as you would call, networking with the people who make the Supreme Court justices happen. So for all the people who try to say that she's just stupid, no, she's strategic. And we have federal disclosure rules in order to uncover any strategy that somebody may have in the decisions that they make in this case. When Judge Cannon dismissed the case on the first day of the RNC, she was definitely auditioning for the role of Supreme Court Justice, and Trump heard her loud and clear. Let's play the clip.
And very big news, as you probably just read, on Monday, a major ruling was handed down from a highly respected federal judge in Florida, Aileen Cannon, finding that the prosecutor and the fake documents case against me were totally unconstitutional, and the entire case was thrown out of court.
Justice Clarence Thomas and his dealings with Harlan Crow and Leonard Leo was also revealed by ProPublica, doing a real service, keeping us informed about the people we have given power to and whether or not they're following ethics, the ethical rules that Judge Cannon is actually required to follow, unlike the Supreme Court, which does not have an enforceable code of ethics. So more will be revealed about this unveiling by the ProPublica of her failure to disclose. Now, also in this case, we know that the Jack Smith appeal in the 11th Circuit, asking the 11th Circuit to overturn her motion to dismiss is in front of the court. Well, Trump has just requested a 30-day extension, and Jack Smith did not oppose that extension, which means that Trump now has 30 days to reply, which also means we're not going to hear from the 11th Circuit before the election. Now, there could be a few reasons why Jack Smith did this. One is, at this point, it almost doesn't matter. This is not going to go forward before the election. If Trump were to win, he's going to dismiss this case outright. If not, then Jack Smith has plenty of time to prosecute this case if Vice President Harris wins. So to some extent, it doesn't matter in that respect. And also, Jack Smith has a big deadline in the DC case. We have to watch out for this. It's September 26th. And what he's going to do is he's going to provide evidence for why Trump is not immune under the Supreme Court decision for the indictments that remain. If you remember, Jack Smith went back to the grand jury, revised the indictment in order to tailor it to the Supreme Court immunity decision. And so now in a briefing, Judge Chutkan, before she hears anything else, is going to hear this immunity. She's going to hear the initial filing in September 26th from Jack Smith. She's going to hear a motion opposing it from Trump. She may schedule an evidentiary hearing at that point as well. But essentially, that initial filing, he said that he's going to provide grand jury transcripts. We're going to get a ton of information. So another reason why Jack Smith may have not opposed the appeal is because his team is busy on this really important September 26th filing. This filing is, as we know, coming before the election. It's actually coming during some of the early voting in some states. And it's going to provide a really detailed information about what Trump did and said and his actions on January 6th. So even though we don't have a trial, this might be as good of a trial because it is going to provide like evidence from grand jury statements and so forth. So anyway, back to Mar-a-Lago, what we're going to have is an unopposed extension for the appeal of the dismissal. And we also have already had a amicus brief by the watchdog group Crew asking for Judge Cannon to also be removed. Jack Smith himself has not requested that, but he doesn't have to request it. And the amicus brief laid out a very compelling argument. If the 11th Circuit does indeed reverse this dismissal, it will be the third time they have dismissed Judge Cannon, and the amicus brief arguing that it is more than beyond time to recuse her if they do indeed reverse and send this case back to the lower court. This is Dina Doll from MeidasTouch Network. I'll keep you updated on the developments in this case.
Love this video? Make sure you stay up to date on the latest breaking news and all things Meidas by signing up to the MeidasTouch newsletter at MeidasTouch.com/newsletter.